Hare Krishna, Namaste. Chapter 11, entitled as Vishwarupa Dharshana Yoga. Sloka 1. Arjuna uvāca mad-anugrahāya paramaṁ guhyam adhyātma-saṁjñitam tvayoktaṁ vacas tena moho vigato mama. After hearing all about Krishna's unique divine glory and his innumerable auspicious qualities in chapter 10, Arjuna's devotion began to develop further. He desired to see the Lord the way he was described in chapter 10. Hence, the first few slokas of this chapter, he states what he has gained so far and what he desires. So let's start with the word by word. Arjuna uvāca, Arjuna said, mad-anugrahāya, just to show favor for me, simply out of compassion for me, paramaṁ, supreme, guhyam, confidential subject, secret matter, adhyātma, spiritual, saṁjñitam, in the matter of vacas, which was instructed, tvayoktaṁ, said by you, tena, by that, mama, my, I am, this, moho, illusion, vigato, is removed. Arjuna said, by my hearing the instructions you have kindly given me about these most confidential spiritual subjects, my illusion has now been dispelled. The first thing that Arjuna is expressing here is by stating what he has gained so far by Krishna's instruction. And of course, he wants to show his gratitude for what he has received from Krishna. Here he says, mad-anugrahāya, out of favor for me, out of compassion towards me. So it is very clear that Krishna's teachings were delivered out of compassion for Arjuna and for all of us, not for his own benefit, not for Krishna's benefit. Being one who has everything, adhyātma-saṁjñitam, meaning one who has everything, lack of nothing, what would he gain by this, by teaching Bhagavad Gita? Therefore, it is not Lord's objective for just make or motivate Arjuna to fight in the war. If that was his objective, Krishna could have inspired Arjuna in many other ways without touching signs of the self and signs of Supreme Self. Therefore, it is clear that his teachings was out of compassion towards us, and this is called causeless mercy. Causeless mercy is the one which comes without any cause. I have not done anything to receive that mercy, and still Krishna gives the mercy, and that is called causeless mercy. There is no qualification within me. I am full of faults. I commit mistakes pretty much all the time, and carrying so many karmas. In spite of all these things, Krishna still continues to shower his mercy in various ways that exhibits Krishna's height of tolerance and also his compassionate nature towards us. And that is what Arjuna is mentioning here, mad-anugrahāya, to just favor me, you have spoken all this while. What you have spoken is supreme secret, paramaṁ guhyam, adhyātma-saṁjñitam. The first 6 chapters of Bhagavad Gita were dedicated to focus on Atma, specifically starting from chapter 2.12, Natvevaham jatunasam, through 30th sloka of the second chapter, is focused on Atma. Then until 2.50, it was about Karma Yoga, and rest of the chapters on Jnana Yoga. This titled as Sankhya Yoga. In chapter 3, Krishna fully focused on elaborating what he explained in nutshell about Karma Yoga. That is chapter 3, Karma Yoga. In chapter 4, Krishna instructs that Karma Yoga should include Jnana, and that the knowledge aspect is crucial in Karma Yoga. There he explains sub-parts of Karma Yoga, and also in that chapter he touched on the glory of his avatars. That chapter entitled as Jnana Yoga. Then in chapter 5, Krishna explained how Karma Yoga leads to direct vision of self more faster than Jnana Yoga, and some of the topics from 3rd and 4th chapter are elaborated over here. Chapter 5, Karma Sannyasa Yoga. And then the last chapter of the first section, that is chapter 6, Dhyana Yoga. Krishna's instructions were given on requirements for performance of yoga. And at the end of the chapter, Krishna said, Tasmad yogi bhava Arjuna, become my devotee. That is the best of all yogas. So this all started with the illusion of Arjuna, where he was afraid to get engaged in the war, especially to face Bhishma and Drona, not out of fear, but out of compassion. But his compassion was on a material basis. So he was committing 3 mistakes. Number 1, confusion on what is dharma and what is adharma. He was lost. And showing compassion to the wrong person. And thirdly, trying to have friendship with wrong person. So these are the blunder that he was making initially. Therefore, in the first 6 chapter, it was all about self, the differences between body and self, how karma and jnana yoga are the means for directly perceiving the self was described. And in the second Shadka, that is chapter 7 through 12, mainly focusing on Bhakti Yoga towards Paramatma, the supreme self. In the 7th chapter, the essential nature of Krishna was explained. How Maya, called Prakriti, conceals us from Krishna's essential nature. How surrendering to the Lord will remove us from this Maya. And also over there, Krishna explained the classification of devotees, and among them, the jnanis were considered greater. So that was chapter 7, Jnana Vijnana Yoga. Then in the 8th chapter, Akshara Brahma Yoga, he elaborated on the terms that was used in chapter 7. And he gave details of destination of various devotees. Then in the 9th chapter, Rajavidya Rajaguhyam Yogam, the chapter explains the glories of Krishna, who is the object of adoration, greatness of Jnani and Bhakti Yoga explained there. And chapter 10, Vibhuti Yoga, Krishna's auspicious qualities, how by knowing them Bhakti can sprout. If one does not have Bhakti, it will appear by knowing them. If one already devoted, their devotion will grow and develop further. These were the subject matter for the Vibhuti Yoga, the 10th chapter. All these were spoken simply out of compassion towards us. It is quite obvious that Krishna could have easily made Arjuna to fight if that was his only intention. He shouldn't have taken this longer route to talk so much to make him fight. But keeping this as an opportunity, Krishna has delivered this great secret to the world. And that's why Arjuna is saying here, out of compassion, you have given the greater secret by which all my illusion are removed. In the 10th chapter, 17th Sloka, Arjuna did ask, how shall I constantly think of you? How shall I know you? In what various forms are you to be remembered? And for that reason, in the 10th chapter, Krishna spoke so much, answering Arjuna's question. In that way, Arjuna's questions were addressed. So he says, all his doubts, illusion, everything is removed. Removed without leaving any trace. Though Arjuna has accepted that Krishna is not an ordinary mere human being, he is the Supreme Lord, source of everything. So in order to establish Krishna's divinity to everyone, even those who doesn't believe, he is going to request Krishna in this chapter to show his universal form. In the next verse, Arjuna will express what he has learnt so far. Mad-anugrahāya paramaṁ guhyam adhyātma-saṁjñitam tvayoktaṁ vacas tena moho vigato mama. Namaste. Hare Krishna.